Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention, please. There are some seats in the middle here in the front for those of you standing in the back. Thank you so much for attending. Please turn off your cell phones to avoid any interruptions in the program. I'm Anita Huberman. I'm CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade, and welcome to our exciting federal election all candidates dialogue. And you are here this evening to make sure that you are educated voters, that you're going to be voting, and you're going to tell others to vote. If you want to check out our screen there, we did launch a voting campaign because Surrey matters in this federal election, and we want to see voters turn out. Voting is a privilege. And your vote counts in driving our economy, driving decisions that impact your life and impact your businesses as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending. Now, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of our Coast Salish peoples, specifically the Kwantlen, Katzie, Semiahmoo, and Tawasin First Nations. And events like this simply could not take place without sponsorship, so let's give a great round of applause to the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Our media sponsors are the Surrey Leader Now Black Press Group and 107.4 Pulse FM. A round of applause. And I'd also like to indicate that the Surrey Board of Trade, we are a nonpartisan business organization. We have candidates on stage representing all parties, and we want to hear what their platforms are, who they are, and we've been in Surrey for over 100 years to support business, bring business into the city. And we believe, again, voting is a privilege. So I just wanted to mention that these types of debates are so important. We've had municipal debates, we've had provincial debates, and we also have federal debates. And your participation in sending the questions in advance has been so helpful. The format is really going to be very quick. 2 hours is going to go by so quickly because what I'm going to do for the candidates is my questions are going to be just a couple of words, and you need to indicate your responses on the Surrey perspective and federal government perspective. Those two things need to link together. So Surrey, federal government, and we're going to go through this like a marathon. But before we get to you, I'd like to introduce a representative from our sponsor, from the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Let's give a great round of applause to Francis Ali.
Thanks, Nita. Hello, my name is Francis Ali, and I'm a realtor and a member of the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. I'm here today with my fellow realtors, Jamil Ahmed and Narinder Bains. The Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, an association of more than 3,600 realtors in 7 communities south of the Fraser River. We have been supporting these types of events since 2001 because we feel it's important to know who we're voting for in an election and what they stand for. After all, the people we elect to be our representatives will make decisions on our behalf on our future. We appreciate the Surrey Board of Trade for making it possible for us to continue our support at these events, and we look forward to the meeting and the dialogue to follow. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Francis. Okay, to the candidates. As you can see, we have a strong turnout of MP candidates this evening. They're going to be responding to questions from me. And given the tight time frame that you have, and to ensure that you understand the perspectives of each of the candidates, we've collated, as mentioned, into broad-based issue questions. So each candidate is only going to have 1 minute to respond. I'm going to call your groups 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order. So if you have a 1, all the ones are going to approach the microphones and you're going to respond to the question. And our timekeeper is going to hold a yellow folder at 50 seconds, and then you have 10 seconds to finish your comments. When the red folder is up, the candidate's time is up, and we move to the next candidate. And I'm going to be very strict about that, as is Jazz Roop. And then we're going to finish the program with 1 minute closing remarks from each of the candidates. So it's going to go by very, very quickly. So, group number 1, please approach the microphones. Your first question, very simple, in 1 minute, who are you? Who are you?
I have to start?
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, Surrey Board of Trade and Anita. My name is Harjeet Singh Gill. I'm NDP candidate from Surrey Newton. If I have to tell about myself, I moved in this country in 1997. My son was 1 year old, and my wife. I did my engineering from back country and served in the Middle East on major projects. Moved here within 2 years. I end up driving taxi. Within another 4 years, I end up as a small business owner for flooring business. Then in 2010, I started as a radio broadcaster at Surrey, Punjab. From there till 2019, I was serving, till last month, I was serving as a broadcaster, going through so many community issues every day. That's why I'm running for highest office. Thank you.
Suk.
My name is Suk Daliwal, dual Liberal incumbent member of Parliament and candidate in Surrey Newton. I came to Canada in 1984 with a civil engineering degree. When I came here, I faced challenges like many immigrants does, but I went to University of Calgary to get my second degree in geomatics engineering and also did my postgrad diploma in energy management and utilization. I'm a professional engineer by designation and also a BC land surveyor and a small business person in Surrey and been a member of the board of Surrey Trade. I have a young family, a 15-year-old who's in grade 11 and 2 grown-up daughters who are both medical professionals. And I've been elected in 2006, 8, and 15. Here I am looking for another term.
Microphone 3. Ma'am.
Hello. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Holly Verschere. I am running for the People's Party of Canada in Surrey Newton. I am a 41-year retired employee of an airline. I have lots of time to dedicate to this endeavor that I'm in. I'm the proud mother of 2 professional sons, a mechanical engineer and a chef, an executive chef. I'm happy to represent the People's Party of Canada. Sorry, I'm just a little nervous. I'm happy to represent them. Maxime Bernier ticks all of my boxes. I'm happy to be here. I don't really know what else to say.
Microphone 1.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harpreet Singh, and I'm the candidate from the Conservative Party from Surrey Newton. It gives me immense pleasure to tell you that I have been a professional journalist for the past 27 years, and my purpose of jumping in this race is simple. People are losing faith in the politicians, and we need to work with ethics, integrity, and honesty, which are the basic values on which we can make this democracy thrive and survive. So that is why I'm in front of you today. And I have a beautiful family, my 2 children. One is pursuing his medicine at UBC, and the other one is at the University of Toronto. He just got a $100,000 scholarship, so he's studying over there, global affairs and social justice.
I have been involved in the community in various ways, in various denominations, by working with the various associations. And along with that, on my television program, I have been talking about issues that matter to us. So it's an extreme pleasure to be here and be in front of this August gathering. Thank you.
Group number 2, please approach the microphones. Your question, as it relates to Surrey and a federal government context, is relating to public safety. What's your perspective on that? Microphone 1.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name's Annie Ohana. I'm the candidate for Fleetwood-Port Kells for the NDP. When it comes to public safety, I have frontline experience as a public school educator who teaches at an inner city school, which is considered a ground zero school for gang violence, unfortunately, L.A. Matheson Secondary. In my work on front lines with advocates like first responders, but also families who've suffered great tragedies from drugs, gangs, violence, etc., one thing is clear: we are simply not doing enough. I would say that the NDP commitment to more youth programming is of vital importance to actually get to the root causes of a lot of the issues. Whether, unfortunately, as we've seen, Fraser Heights, Clayton Heights, we've seen over the last couple of weeks a dramatic increase in the amount of shootings. So we need better protection at our ports. We need better protection for our youth. We need to intervene at earlier stages, and we need to make sure that at the federal level we provide core funding to those specific institutions that can do the jobs to enforce, to prevent, and to intervene when necessary.
Microphone 2.
I'm Ken Hardy, and I'm also from Fleetwood-Port Kells. I'm the incumbent Liberal MP. One of the first things that my colleagues and I did is we had Ralph Goodale come out here, sit down with the Surrey Police and with the city administration of the day, and figure out what was going on and what the government, the federal government, could do by way of funding and by way of policy. This followed with a $350 million commitment across Canada and $100 million a year after 3 years to deal with the issues that we're dealing with. In addition, we brought out Bill Blair, who's the fellow in charge of dealing with gangs and organized crimes. He has personally announced $7.5 million for the SAFE program, which I believe, the City of Surrey has put it together with community input. It puts the issues right at the family kitchen table, because we need to deal with families, we need to strengthen families that are having trouble with their kids, and we feel that the SAFE program is the way to go forward.
Microphone 3.
Hi, I'm Carrie Lynn Finley. I'm the Conservative candidate for South Surrey White Rock. Is this correct that we're in different ridings?
You're in different ridings.
Okay, that's good, because I was wondering, I didn't want to let anyone think I was running in Fleetwood, so there we go. I'm in South Surrey White Rock. We have problems here in Surrey, we know, with gang violence in particular. We need to do more about it. We have a lot of community groups that are very frustrated, like the Surrey Crime Prevention Society and Wake Up Surrey, very frustrated that not enough is being done. And although my colleagues here were just mentioning funding from the Liberal government, that funding was announced, and it took them 17 months to bring that here. That is unacceptable. We're about 300 police officers short of what we need to have here in Surrey. We have innocent people, including in my part of Surrey, South Surrey, being killed by the bleed off, and that's an intended pun, from gang violence. We need to do more for our youth. We need to give them more options. We need to have them active and engaged. We need to put money into prevention, money into education. We need to care more about everyday families, affordability, and options for our kids. Thanks.
Thank you. Group number 3, please approach the microphones. Thank you, Group 2. Group number 3, your question is related to housing affordability, mortgage stress test policies. Microphone 1.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ray Banwari. I am the NDP candidate for Cloverdale-Langley City, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you all. I am an immigrant, as most people are. Moved to Canada when I was very young. Of all places, I moved from the Caribbean to Winnipeg, so it was a bit of a change for me.
Went to University of Manitoba, got my degree. I was headed towards law school until the opportunity for the RCMP came about. Went through, was successful, was posted to Vancouver Island, and then shortly here to Surrey. I also led the charge for unionization of the RCMP. So I have had over 20 years of policing experience, the last 12 right here in Surrey. So I'm very alive to a lot of the issues that are happening. In the previous role, we fought for people, for their families, for their rights. That is my background, that is my expertise. As the candidate for Langley City, I intend to work towards helping families, and the issue of housing affordability needs to be addressed.
Microphone 2.
I was supposed to be C2. Anyway, Shinder Prewal, I'm the Conservative candidate for Fleetwood-Port Kells. 4 issues. One is it's already difficult for young people, first-time buyers, to get into the housing market. It's so expensive. This stress test has made it more difficult. We're going to review that. Secondly, if you look at the amortization period in the US, it's 30 years. So first-time buyers, if they had to pay in 30 years, their payments would be lower. And we are going to review that, and we will implement that. The third aspect is the federal government can work with the municipal, provincial governments. We have surplus land, we will review it, and we will throw it for the construction projects for affordable housing. And finally, there is a big thing about the money laundering being in the real estate industry. And we will have a commission to review it.
Microphone 3.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is John Aldag. I was the Liberal Member of Parliament for Cloverdale-Langley City the last 4 years, and I'm running again as Liberal candidate in Cloverdale-Langley City. I have, over the last 6 years since entering public life, have been knocking on doors, and the number one issue I hear is affordability. Our youth, our families, our seniors are concerned about affordability. Our government did bring in or revise the stress test. The stress test has been in place for a number of years, so we did some refinements to it because we were seeing exponential growth within the real estate market in the Lower Mainland. And so the stress test was meant to slow it down without taking away the equity that families had in their homes. We have been able to achieve that. Prices have stabilized. It's now time to move to the next level of affordability discussion. We've done some things like have introduced a first-time homebuyers incentive program that will give 10% equity by the government into mortgages for new homes, 5% in used homes. That will help save lots of money on mortgage payments monthly.
Microphone 3 again.
Mike Pullen, I'm with the PPC. I believe we need to get creative. I think the government can only do so much. Yes, we can help with do the stress tests and all these things. The truth is that you get a home by working hard and becoming community. I came back to Surrey 20 years ago. I looked around Surrey in the housing, and I looked at my Punjabi community brothers and sisters, and I thought, that's the way you do it. I had 5 children, and I was coming back into this market. And so I bought a house and made sure that we got a basement suite, and we've worked together as a family, and we've gone on. My kids have houses, and we've worked hard, and we're not looking for the government to do that much for us. You get a home by working hard, and that's what we've got to encourage people to do. Get creative, be family, be community, and let's build up. The biggest houses, I knock on doors, the biggest houses is my Punjabi community.
Thank you. Group number 4, please approach the microphones. Thank you, group number 3. Group number 4. Your question is related to tax reform. Microphone 1.
Okay, tax reform. Well, we have a big problem right now with unfair taxes, and that's what we have to do, is bring in fair taxes. Right now, the wealthy are not paying enough. We have more and more money going to the top 1%, and corporations and the wealthy are avoiding the taxes that they owe. They're sending money offshore untaxed, and then corporations in particular are bringing it back in, as I say, without having paid the taxes that they are owed, that they owe to our communities, in fact. And I think that we have to look at the lower income people and realize that that we are paying quite enough already in taxes. So if we had a fair system of taxes, it would work for our communities and work for our people. That's not happening right now, and we will actually change that. We're going to close the loopholes and make a fair system.
Microphone 2.
Hello, I'm Tamara Jansen, and I'm the Conservative candidate for Cloverdale-Langley City, and I'm going to approach tax reform from a small business perspective. I've been a farmer for 30 years and was shocked when the Liberals started bringing in a whole bunch of tax changes that would really actually harm family businesses. What we saw them doing was basically treating us as tax cheats. And when you look at small business as tax cheats, you're going to put in place things that are going to actually be stumbling blocks for businesses. So they were taxing our investments, and we're going to change that. We're going to make sure that you can have a rainy day fund and not be taxed. We are also going to make sure that we are encouraging small businesses to create jobs right in here in our riding, rather than, we were selling our farm to our son, and they were going to charge us 85% tax if we sold to our son. So we want to make sure that we are supporting family business, small family business, as best as possible.
Microphone 3.
Hello, my name is Joel Poulin. I'm the candidate for the People's Party of Canada representing South Surrey and White Rock in this coming federal election. The issue of taxes is certainly, I've felt it in my life. I work construction from when I was 15 all the way up till just a year ago, actually. I was a tower crane operator, and I paid a lot of taxes, and it was a very complicated system. So what the People's Party wants to do, we want to eliminate tax from 0 to 15K, just $0. 15K to 100K is 15%, 100K plus 25%. Simple system. Make it easy to understand, make it easy to know what's going on. You're going to know exactly what you can pay. You can calculate it on a napkin. Another thing is, for businesses, a lot of people in this room own businesses, a flat tax of 10%. Simplifying the system will make it easier. We don't want to tax the top people to death. They're the ones that usually create the jobs for the rest of us. We want to, incentivize people to want to produce and become more with their lives.
Microphone 1.
Hello, friends. My name is Beverly Pixie Hobby. I'm the Green Party candidate from South Surrey, White Rock. And on the matter of taxation, the Green Party would like to establish an arm's length federal tax commission to analyze the tax system for fairness and accessibility based on the principles of progressive taxation. The last time we had such a commission on tax was back in 1963. I was a little kid then. And none of the, and I'm a senior now, and none of the recommendations were ever implemented. So that's one thing. The second thing, we'd like to close tax loopholes for the wealthy and end offshore tax dodging by taxing funds that are hidden in offshore havens, and provide the CRA enough money to handle this, to do this. We'd also like to apply a corporate tax on transnational e-commerce companies like Netflix, Facebook, and Amazon.
Thank you. Group number 5, please come down. Thank you, Group 4. Group number 5, your question is related to transportation investments. Microphone 1.
Good evening. My name is Sarjeet Saran. I'm running in Surrey Centre. Thank you for being here. Transportation is a big issue, particularly in Surrey. I said this to TransLink. We get the leftovers. That's what we get. We get the old buses. We don't get the SkyTrain. The money goes everywhere else except here in Surrey. So I'm a big advocate about making sure that money comes here. So if money's going to be invested, our government's going to make sure it's targeted investment and it actually comes here and it's assigned to Surrey. That's one aspect. The other aspect is seniors' access to transportation. We're having issues. Seniors cannot leave their home. There's not enough taxi services to carry people with disabilities or people with restrictive mobility. We need to change that, and that takes investment, both on the transportation side, but also on the healthcare side. So when you vote NDP, that's what we're going to do for you. Better transportation for every single person, child to senior. We're going to make sure it happens.
Microphone 1 again. Microphone 1 again, please. Yes.
Yes, good evening. My name is John Waring, and I am the Green Party candidate for Surrey Centre. I have been a commuter for going on 30 years now, and I understand the problems that we have here in Surrey Centre in Surrey generally with regards to the lack of transit. And transit is a key platform for the Green Party because we want to get more cars off the road and we want to move people and get people to where they want to and need to get to. And the other issue that we'd like to do is we'd like to innovate and modify the transit fleets that we have to make them electric instead of diesel, which is important for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But more importantly, it's about getting people around. And I'm a strong advocate for buses. Buses and more frequent buses.
Microphone 2.
Hi, I'm Randeep Sarai. I'm the Liberal incumbent for Surrey Centre. I've been living in Surrey for the last 15 years and born and raised in the Lower Mainland. Transit is one of the #1 issues for the riding, and the past government, the Conservative government for 10 years neglected us. We never got, we paid 22% of transit fees, yet we got no fixed rail transit. We got no real money for public transportation. In the last 4 years, I can proudly say we got $900 million for public transportation to get new buses, energy efficient buses, hydrogen buses, electric buses. We get Expo cars that were in since 1986 replaced. We've got our SkyTrain stations upgraded, and we got $1.6 billion for Surrey to have a new rapid transit line. This is real money. This is real progress that we have done. Nobody has done this in the past. Surrey is finally getting its fair share. We have now committed to doing a $3 billion fund annually for predictable funding for public transportation for municipalities to be funded directly.
Next person, microphone 2.
Good evening, George Gidor. I'm running for the Communist Party of Canada. I have born and raised in Surrey, currently live in Coquitlam. But the question of transit is very close to my heart because I work in transit and I know the problems of transit. And some of the people have mentioned that what we need now is more transit. I totally agree. Our party is in favor of affordable, rapid transit that meets the needs of working people. And we need that the government should be paying their fair share and that the businesses who benefit from workers being able to get to work safely, on time, around the Lower Mainland need to also pay their fair share. Our party has for a long time advocated the need for rapid transit to go to both of the universities, not just UBC, but also up to Simon Fraser University. Thank you.
Next person, microphone 2. Sir, microphone 1, you can take a seat. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, microphone 2.
I'm Tina Baines, the Conservative Party's candidate for the riding of Surrey Central. All commitments made by the Liberals during their tenure and now the commitments being made will be maintained by the Conservatives. We will meet those obligations and commitments. We will be putting money towards Mersey Tunnel replacement so that your commute can become shorter from point A to point B. I have lived in Surrey for 30 years and I have seen the transportation system in operation since I commuted from Surrey to downtown. It is horrendous, and we need to do more for our TransLink so that we have more, a user-friendly sort of transportation system where people don't have to wait for buses, and when one bus leaves, the people are stranded there waiting for the next bus to come. So it's my commitment. I will do my best for transportation in Surrey Central. Thank you.
Microphone 3.
Thank you, Surrey Board of Trade. My name's Jeff Breddy. I'm a 57-year-old working fellow. I was an architectural consultant for 35 years with a partner who studied under Frank Lloyd Wright, who started the American Institute of Architecture. I worked up to a full partner, and I believe our problem here in Surrey is urban planning. If there was ever an emergency situation, we'd be in big trouble. There is too many housing projects all clumped together and too many cars, which causes greenhouse effects, causes an emergency situation. If there was ever an earthquake or a fire, we have not planned for that. So I'd go back to the grassroots and sit down with the Planning Commission and let's figure this out. Not asking for more money from federal government right off the bat, but planning. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Hello, I'm Kevin Pilak.
with the Christian Heritage Party from Surrey Centre, and we would work with all levels of government. And also, because our debt has increased to an incredible rate, we now have around almost $700 billion debt. We would introduce, and it's been used before, it's not something new, the introduction of using the Bank of Canada to help us fund these big infrastructures so that we quit giving high interest rates to offshore banks and also banks in Canada. So that would be one thing that we would do. And yes, we do have to increase transportation in Surrey. And like they've said before, it's long overdue. So we would do that. And also for seniors and people with special needs and low income.
Next person, microphone 3.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jaswinder Singh Dilavri. I am the People's Party candidate from Surrey Centre. I came to this country 5 years ago, and I was a principal of an engineering college back home in Chandigarh. So I worked here in media and academics, and I'm a regulator, Canadian immigration consultant at present. So I will not say that, how much money we need for the transportation and all that. There was a post in social media today that there was a long queue outside the bus stand at Surrey Central Station, and the guy posted it that this queue, he has never seen this longer queue in India too. So it means that there is something missing. So the People's Party of Canada is a party for the people of this country and by the people of this country. So each and every single dollar will be spent towards the transportation. Instead of deciding by themselves, we should ask the people that how much transportation.
Thank you. Group number 1, please. Your question is related to pensions and retirement. Microphone 1.
You know, the senior citizens who put their whole life to enrich this great nation, when this time comes of their retirement and their pensions, they don't get their fair shares. Specifically, widows who are 65 years and above, they don't get much funds from Canada Pension Plan. On disabilities, people are screaming. While I was door knocking in my constituency, they have very lower living conditions. If you go to their basements and door knocking, then you know how they are doing. So we have to work for senior citizens tremendously and advocate for them for their good perks and good pension plan. That's what NDP is standing, because we work for layman, for medium class families. That's what our platform is. Thank you.
Microphone 1 again, please.
Seniors have played a very important role and paved a way for us where we are here today. While door knocking, I am proud to say that I've door knocked over 18,000 homes on my own for the past 10 months. And most of the time, I've seen the seniors at a disadvantaged stage. At one home, a 78-year-old man tells me that he has got an increase of 87 cents in his CPP for a year. What a mockery, what a shame. This needs to stop. And this is where the Conservative government believes, where we have already announced benefits as universal tax cut, age tax credit, so that right now the seniors and the veterans live a life where they can enjoy their life. They have worked the whole of their life. And now is the time when they should not be worried about how to pay their bills. So our government has, our party has already announced these announcements. And after October 21st, this will be a reality. And even for the veterans also, who are getting homeless, this is not the right step, and our party will come forward and be a strong voice for them. Thank you.
Microphone 2.
Thank you. When it was Conservatives in power, they brought the CPP almost in the hole. It was the Liberal Party that brought it back on a very strong footing. In fact, we also brought in changes now that people will be able to invest more in their CPP, so as when they retire, they will be able to get more. When it comes to our seniors, re-elected Liberal government will increase the OAS by 10% and the survivors benefit by 25% because seniors have played a key role in our lives and in our society. Those are the ones that we'll be focusing on.
Microphone 3.
Holly Brashear for the People's Party of Canada, Surrey Newton. I was watching Maxime Bernier, our party leader, speak the other day, and he had said that the Canadian Pension Plan has given a 2% boost only to pensioners to keep up with inflation. We all know it's not 2% inflation every year. He promises to bring that up to 4%, keeping it more in line with inflation. But that's really not enough. We're looking at a lot of different initiatives with the People's Party of Canada. One initiative is not corporate welfare. We spend $5 billion on corporate welfare every year. That will go back into lower taxes and make life easier for our constituents everywhere in Canada.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Group number 2, please approach the microphones. Your question is related to cannabis legalization and cultivation in the home. Microphone 1.
So we do know that legalization has been brought forward, and I think the number one thing that we need to realize is that the enforcement of it is super important. So there are regulations around the number of plants you can have in your home, and I think that needs to be continued to be looked at and enforced as strictly as possible. I do want to mention, however, that when it comes to hemp products, etc., the reason why this was brought in the first place was that there were a lot of benefits in terms of medical benefits for those struggling with cancer, with HIV, with any number of illnesses. So we need to think equitably about what exactly we're doing. Also, the reality that some of our organized crime was being funded by the illegal trade of marijuana. Literally, it was a cash system to bring in cocaine and heroin and other products. So we have to balance these things out and to realize that legalization will actually help us in terms of the fight against organized crime, and also keeping in mind the benefits while still maintaining some levels of enforcement.
Microphone 2.
Legalization of marijuana hasn't stopped gangs. It hasn't stopped any kind of drug dealings. It's there now. It's our job to work with the municipal corporations, municipal governments, regional bodies to toughen up regulations. The basic objective of our society should be to keep our young kids away from drugs. And I've seen some marijuana shops closer to even schools, very accessible to younger kids. And once these youth start taking these drugs, we understand that your brain develops up to 25, and it actually inhibits the development of brain. So I've seen my students, I teach political science at KPU, those who take drugs, their memory is quite weak, to say the least. So toughen up regulations to make sure our youth are kept away from.
Microphone 3.
One of the things we have to look at is how well the product is being served to the market. And the difference from one municipality to the other can create difficulties. So if one municipality doesn't provide for stores, for outlets, then people will go to the next municipality where it is. That's an issue, and that can cause disruption in the neighborhood. The critical thing, though, about legalizing and regulating marijuana or cannabis is that, first of all, you do something about the quality of the product because some awfully bad stuff was there. But secondly, that little jerk that was selling your kids marijuana was also selling other stuff. And we need to make sure that those people are cut out of the market. We've started. We're letting the municipalities get traction on it. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll move forward.
Thank you. Group number 3, please. Your question is related to how will you support small and medium-sized businesses? Microphone 1.
Small and medium-sized businesses are the backbone of all of our societies. We will start, the NDP has proposed to reduce the small business tax that's there. Our businesses are there. They provide employment. They provide a means of sustainability for so many families. They are the bloodline for a lot of societies, a lot of small communities. The NDP is committed to ensuring that we don't increase the taxes, we remove the taxes. And one of the things that they've done ties into the healthcare program, the National Pharmacare program. If you are able to remove that burden from businesses where an employer no longer has to pay for mental health, dental, all prescription drugs, that empowers them now to be able to hire more people. So our program, when you look at it from a big context, has a great, great impact on small businesses. And our purpose is to empower.
Microphone 2.
Tamara Jansen, Cloverdale-Langley City. When we went to go and get ourselves a trailer, we thought a trailer on wheels for our office for this upcoming election, we were going to need it for 2 months, and it was going to cost us $30,000 and take us up to 6 months to get permits for it. Regulations is killing small business. So the Conservatives are committed to reducing regulations by 25%. Over the last 4 years, so since 2015, 4,300 new regulations have been put on the books, and that kills business. We're going to put in a 2-for-1 rule. If you want 1 new regulation, you got to get rid of 2. Thank you.
Microphone 3.
Over the past 4 years, our government has done a lot of work to support small business. First of all, we cut the small business tax rate from 11% to 9%, and we cut several hundred regulations to help small business. Now, moving forward, we believe that, as an example, export is a great way to help small businesses grow and thrive. We've signed trade agreements with every G7 country, the only G7 country to have that in place. We have an entrepreneurship fund that's been announced where 2,000 businesses will have up to access to $50,000 per year to grow or to form and grow. We'll help businesses get online with a grant that's available to get the businesses into the online world. There is, in the riding of Cloverdale-Langley City that I've represented, small business really is the backbone of our country, of our economy. And so we've done a lot of work, and we will continue to do work on regulation, removal, and really to support small businesses in our country.
Next person, microphone 3.
Mike Bruin, PPC Fleetwood. We are committed, the PPC is committed to have a flat tax for business people so we can release the entrepreneurial spirit. We also want to take away the capital gains tax, and we want to get the government out of the way. Get the government out of the way. I don't say 2-for-1 in regulations. Let's see how many regulations we can get rid of in 4 years, because anytime the government says they're going to give us something, we're going to pay for it from somewhere. And normally, business and workers is who has to pay for it. So the least government we can get, least regulations, release the funds for the entrepreneur to be able to operate in their gifting and not have the government in their way.
Thank you. Group number 4, please come down. Your question is related to climate change. Microphone 1.
Okay, maybe I should introduce myself. I didn't do that last time. I just sort of take for granted when I wear the button, everyone knows. So I'm Stephen Crozier. I'm with South Surrey, White Rock, NDP. I'm the candidate there. When it comes to the climate crisis, this is the defining issue of our time. There's no doubt about it. I think few people know that Peter Julian, the NDP House Leader, actually introduced the Green New Deal to the House of Parliament as a motion back in April. So the NDP are very much committed to this. One thing that we have to keep in mind is that we do not want people to be losing their livelihoods over this. This is not good for the economy. So we need a just transition. And we are the Workers' Party, and we will make that just transition. One of the hesitations that many union members have is that they do not trust the governments that have been in place to protect them. They haven't protected them over the last 40 years, and that continues to be a problem.
Microphone 1, again. Yes.
Beverly Hobby, South Surrey White Rock Green candidate. This is our big issue for the Greens, and our Climate Emergency Action Plan is the only plan that actually puts us in a position where we can meet the Paris targets at reducing our carbon dioxide emissions. We're going to eliminate them by 60% by 2030. If the climate scientists are telling us we have to do it between 45% to 50% by 2030, and if anything below that, we're going to be in runaway climate change. At the same time, we have to recognize that we have to transition our workers away from the fossil fuel economy. They will be supported in terms of education and helping them with their expenses while the transition is being made.
Microphone 2. Thank you.
I'm Carrie Lynn Finley, the Conservative candidate for South Surrey White Rock. So first of all, if you want to know our entire environmental plan, a real plan for change and a real plan for the environment, it's on conservative.ca. It's about 60 pages long. So I'm going to give you the Coles Notes version, which is that we believe in heavy industrial polluters being the ones who are charged with and forced to put money into a green investment fund to build new technologies. The Liberals have been exempting those big industrial polluters, and that's not the way to go. But we do believe in technology, not in taxes. We will repeal the federal carbon tax, which just makes everything more expensive and does not actually reduce emissions. We want to meet the Paris Climate Accord targets, and we have a plan to do it. And that includes exporting our technology to emerging economies that need it.
Microphone 3.
Well, Joel Poulin, People's Party of Canada, South Surrey, White Rock. And the People's Party of Canada is actually the only party that has a different view of the climate change. And we believe actually that the science is not conclusive. If you look in one place, then you get one answer. The United Nations has, a board of scientists that they have that they say, it's climate hysteria. The world's going to end. We actually don't believe that. We actually believe that, the climate has always changed. It's changed from the beginning of the world. It's changed all the way till now, and it's going to continue to change beyond when we're even here. So what our policies are is definitely taking a more responsible approach, doing some more research, looking and finding where we can improve upon our efforts. But the reality is we are a coal-dependent nation. Over the last 20 years, it's brought 1 billion people out of poverty. So it's not exactly the worst thing in the world. So yeah, the People's Party also has a full policy that you can read online if you want more information.
Thank you. Group number 5, please approach the microphone. Your question is related to accountability and transparency in Canada's government. Microphone 1.
My name is Sarjeet Saran. I'm running in Surrey Centre for the NDP. That's a great question. We've seen over the last year the amount of dishonesty that's come from the Liberal government. We've seen the SNC lava line scandal. We've seen a lot of other scandals coming up that are being covered by the existing government. And that's not the way we operate. The NDP's position is, if you make a mistake, own up to it, and then reach a resolution or do some corrective actions. The Liberal government's made promises to the Indigenous. Even those have been broken. Too many broken promises that they're not being accountable for. Look at the blackface issue that's arisen in the community. We've talked about it. It's been a concern. These are concerns. These are real issues. These are problems when your own government cannot be trusted. When you vote NDP, you're voting for people that are standing there saying, we're going to be accountable, you can hold us to it, and we're going to be honest. That's the difference.
Microphone 1 again, please.
Yes, John Waring, Green Party for Surrey Centre. Accountability, I'm a firm believer in apologizing. If you make a mistake, apologize. Do something about it. Put your name and your face out there and own it. Own what you've done. On the issue of transparency, I'm going to say that transparency has become a huge problem across the board. For me, transparency is open, honest communication. What this government has done over the past few years, not just the Liberals, but the Conservatives, is they've turned to the Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act, that is to protect all of our privacy, and applied it to industry. Industry is becoming very secretive in almost everything that they do. Just try to go out and find some information, just even like on an environmental assessment. Documents that used to be made available publicly are no longer publicly available, and we'll change that.
Microphone 2.
Randeep Sarai, Liberal candidate for Surrey Centre. Transparency is paramount. The first thing we did is freed senators from being in any caucus shackles, so they're independent. All new senators that are appointed by the Prime Minister are now sit as independents and not with any one bloc. That was the first thing we did. We opened and gave more powers to the Ethics Commissioner to increase ethics investigations and increase their powers. We have also allowed parliamentarians to vote freely in most non-financial matters, regardless of their choice in our party. And our new mandate is to commit that question period and questions in the House and moments in the House will be free from whips telling the Speaker. People will represent themselves and ask the Speaker that they wish to speak and ask for a question. This is real transparency, it is effective transparency, and it is shown.
Microphone 2 again.
Thank you. I don't think I told you the riding I'm in. I'm in Surrey Centre. It's George Godor for the Communist Party. This is a very important question, and we believe that you should be always held accountable to the people that voted for you. And so we believe that that there needs to be some sort of a recall legislation that is realistic and that will work if a parliamentarian needs to be recalled, that it's possible for people to do it. Transparency in government is something that does not exist. I think we have some big problems with the way that lobbyists from giant corporations are able to freely lobby MPs at their discretion. There needs to be better control and better legislation to hold these people accountable. And I think that we have a tremendous development of technology. I think we could be using that as well. Thank you.
Next person, microphone 2.
I'm Tina Baines, the Conservative Party's candidate for the riding of Surrey Central. Transparency is a very important component of a good government, and that's where good governments lay their foundations on. During the Trudeau Liberals' 4 years of term, we haven't seen much of that. But as the candidate, standing for the Conservatives, I can assure you that if I do get elected, I will work very hard along with my Conservative team to have transparency in everything we do, and we will stick with our commitment. Thank you.
Microphone 3.
Jeff Gritty is my name. I'm the independent incumbent for Surrey Centre. I have an office in Saskatchewan, and we found that government officials were closing down 54 hospitals and did so quite successfully, but they were still getting money from the federal government of Canada. Where that money went, we'll never know. I asked for an audit. They brought in an auditor, and they found out where the money went. That was corrupt. We're accountable. We don't want third world politics here. We work for you, not the other way. We're public servants. Thank you.
Next person.
Hello, I'm Kevin Pilak from Surrey Centre, Christian Heritage Party. And as Christians, of course, we're supposed to be trying to be as honest as possible. So we would for sure try our best to make sure no corruption was involved. And as you can see, not just in politics, but in the kinds of laws that Canada is now promoting, the Christian values that this country was built on are slowly being deteriorated. And of course, the Christian Heritage Party would try to bring those back where family is important, freedom is important, and life is important. And if family is strong, they can send the values to their children and promote good values where I'm not sure what you can say about corruption. We don't like it, and we would make sure it wouldn't.
Next person.
Hello once again. My name is Jaswinder Singh Dilavri, People's Party of Canada candidate from Surrey Centre. Before being immigrated to Canada, I was believing in honesty is the best policy, but I got confused after coming here because in last 2 years, so many things has happened, and I don't know whether honesty and transparency does exist in this country. So you have seen Prime Minister Trudeau's visit to India. What has happened in there? So there is a lady who was a minister from Vancouver. She was an MP. So it was proudly told that she has been kept in the ministry because of her Aboriginal status, and she has been taken out of the government. So we are talking about appointing oath commissioners and the investigators and all that, instead of spending taxpayers' money on the investigators and commissioners. So you people should elect those.
Thank you. Group number 1. Please approach the microphone. You're doing so well. I know it takes great courage to run for political office, so thank you so much. Your question is related to arts, culture, tourism. Microphone 1.
Specifically, the community from where I came, we believe in this. If you are culturally rich, then you can put your parts in your community. But in this country, the secular bill like Quebec, what type of secular clothes you can understand is very hard. Whether it's just like suit, just like trousers, or just Punjabi suit, what are the secular clothes? That secular bill is now it was not defended by any political leader other than Jagmeet Singh. Today when he was in Montreal, he was stopped by one person. He said, "You cut off your turban, then you look like a Canadian." We have to denounce that. We have to stand firmly against it. That's what the NDP is. That's what our role model is.
Next person, microphone 1.
Any society that wants to progress needs to work on the issues of developing art, culture, and tourism. And over this, our Conservative Party has already announced that for the youth whom we want to go out and play, especially if they want the fitness credits, we have already announced $1,000 for them. And if someone is disabled, $500 extra for them, even for the arts also. And tourism plays a very important role in developing the economy. And that is what here on the Western Coast, we are proud of that. And we will work on these issues whereby the small businesses to get the boost so that their income taxes are low and they are able to get more benefits so that they can get more tourists over here. People who are in this field of tourism are now calling that because our economy is not strong. Our truckers who are mostly staying at home now because our foreign relations with other countries are not going strong. So we'll work on those aspects where we can develop these things and get our youth back into tourism and other sectors.
Microphone 2.
Thank you. And art and culture is very important to us as families, as communities. So we as community and we as families can come together and enjoy the art that is produced locally. That is why Liberal government invested in the art gallery right here in Surrey, so as we are able to promote our local artists. When it comes to personally my office, every second month, we display a different artist, a local artist. So when people are moving into our office, they are able to see the talent that is present here in our backyard, and we as a government support that. When it comes to tourism, we have paid special attention to particularly the municipalities where there is a winter.
Microphone 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Holly Richer from the People's Party of Canada, Surrey Newton. Our party platform on tourism is to increase competition in the airline sector in order to reduce pricing and reduce taxes paid. It's a lot of people leave Canada and go to the States to travel abroad because the taxes are so much lower. In terms of multiculturalism or culturalism, our party also believes that to do away with the multiculturalism altogether. We're Canadians, we need a national identity. Instead of being small secular groups all over, we want to come together. It's very difficult for somebody to move to another country, you know, and still maintain their own identity. We'd like to do that within the family and keep the culture within the home and the neighborhood, but altogether, we'd like to see us have an identity.
Thank you. Group number 2. Your question is related to immigration. Microphone 1.
Okay, I'm going to get this. Okay, good. I'm Annie Ohana from Fleetwood-Port Kells, running for the NDP. Excuse me. When it comes to immigration, there's several issues that are propping up. Number one, and especially in terms of Surrey, I hear a lot of people talking about, well, what about the fact of university? What about housing? There's more competition, it seems like, because of immigration. And I want to make something very clear. When it comes to international students coming in, when it comes to immigration, we need it. We are missing tens of thousands of workers in multiple industries. Many small businesses are closing because of the lack of the workforce. So what we want to do is make things equitable. We believe in funding post-secondary even more. We want to open up seats. We want to make it easier for businesses to open so that there is no competition between those perceived as the others and those perceived as Canadians. We want to make sure there's an even playing field for everybody. Last but not least, certainly, we do believe there are some gaps. We need to be, there are some issues that we need to face. There's corruption among the immigration policies.
Microphone 2.
I arrived in Canada at the age of 17. And believe me, it took our family. I lost my father when I was 1 month old. My mother and 2 siblings, it took 5 years for our application to process in New Delhi. That's a legal way of coming to Canada. When your Prime Minister is encouraging 40, 50,000 people sitting in New York through his tweets, you can cross over the borders illegally, welcome to Canada. They are taking the spaces of genuine refugees sitting in the refugee camps and under most miserable conditions. We want orderly, legal, and compassionate immigration. That's what the Conservatives will do.
Microphone 3.
What you just heard is about 80% incorrect, but it may come as a shock. I'm Ken Hardy, by the way, at Fleetwood-Port Kells. I'm an older guy. And in 2015, there turned out to be more people like me than there were kids under 15. That's a problem. It's a problem for our social services. We need people to work. Over 200,000 jobs are empty right now in Ontario and Quebec alone. We need more people. And that's what a sound, solid immigration platform policy does. That's what we've delivered. But we haven't forgotten families. You know, mums and dads and grandparents should be together with their kids and their grandkids. So we've taken a miserly $5,000 a year that the Conservatives offered. We put 20,000 people back together with their families. That's a compassionate thing to do, which doesn't imbalance anything and really builds the economy and our society.
Thank you. Group number 3, please. Group number 3, your question is international trade. Microphone 1.
Well, we don't have to look very far in terms of what's happening in terms of international trade. Our current government has messed it up big time, from India to China to everywhere you think. The latest escapade of how he's been portrayed, we're nothing but fools or jokers on the international scene. We need to have a government that is going to work to invest in our country and export all the products, the Canadian products, so that our workers can benefit in the country. Right now, we don't have that. The NDP government is one that is built on people's work and efforts and showing how great Canada is from its products and leading edge technology. This is what an NDP government is going to bring to you, and that is what our commitment is.
Microphone 2.
Tamara Jansen, Cloverdale-Langley City. So it's been very difficult to watch our fall on the international stage. It's been painful, and especially from the strength we came from with, I think, 53 great trade agreements. The Conservatives have always been about trade. They've always worked hard to ensure that we can get goods back and forth, and it's really an important thing for our country to ensure that we're getting our goods out and bringing in what we need. I know we want to work with countries where rule of law is in place, and we want to ensure that Canada is known as being a country that's open for business.
Thank you. Microphone 3.
John Aldag, Cloverdale-Langley City. Our government was able to conclude or to close trade deals that the Conservative government was unable to do so. And as I had said previously, we now have trade deals with every G7 country, the only country to have actually reached that level of trade agreements. We have trade exports open to over 1 billion people within those countries. We're supporting our businesses in getting ready for export. We're making export development programs available at no cost to Canadians. We also are investing in trade corridors. It's one thing to have agreements in place, but we also need to be able to move goods to and from market. And so we have investments we've been working on and will continue to work on to grow our trade corridors. In the lower mainland, where we have ports, where we have congestion in our trade corridors, we are working on to relieve that congestion so that we can move goods and services more efficiently, not only to the States, but internationally.
Next person, microphone 3.
For the PPC, we want to release the entrepreneurial spirit, and we want to release trade everywhere. This government bought a pipeline and spent $4 billion of our money to buy a pipeline. Government does not belong in business. Government just needs to provide good rules and not be in business. They need to stay out and let the business people do business, and we should be open. We're a great nation, great resources. This government is stalling our business, is in the way of our resources, and they hinder us every time we turn around. More regulations, more stuff. They should just step out, let the business people do business, make sure that we're legal, make sure that those things. But let's be free. Let's be free to do business. We don't need a government that can't even balance a budget to tell us how to do business.
Group number 4, please come down. Group number 4. Your question is related to education and skills shortage. Microphone 1.
Okay, so it's tough being first. We seem to be first all the time. But I am a teacher, and so this is really close to my heart. This is something that funding to education, basically funding was cut, the transfer payments to provinces were cut in the 90s, and they continue to be cut. Actually, here in BC, if you take a look at the payments to post-secondary education from the government, what has happened from 2002 to 2016, once you take inflation into consideration, the funding for post-secondary education actually dropped by 20%. And what's happening is that we're using foreign students instead of actually using international students or welcoming international students to our wonderful education system. We're using them to pay for education for Canadians, and this is costing us greatly. We need more training, job training, and this is something too that has been cut short.
Next person, microphone 1.
Beverly Hobby, South Surrey White Rock from the Green Party. The Green Party is going to abolish tuition fees for universities, colleges, and trade schools. And the reason for that is because we have enough problems with affordability right now. We need to, as we shift from a fossil fuel-based economy to a sustainable economy, we have to have the resources there so that people can improve their skills, upgrade their skills, make a transfer into a completely different area if they wish. And learning is a lifelong experience for all of us, and we respect the fact that people may start off, for example, being a heavy-duty mechanic and later decide that they want to become a veterinary assistant. And education should be free. It should be a basic human right, and that's what the Green Party is doing.
Microphone 2.
Carrie Lynn Finley, South Surrey, White Rock. Well, we certainly believe in education, and we believe in the pursuit of education and learning. For instance, my dad was an electrician. He had a grade 6 education. He worked really hard and raised 6 kids. That was to give people like me, as his daughter, the opportunity to go to school. I had loans, I had grants, and I got 2 degrees and became a lawyer. I don't think my dad, starting out in life, ever thought he'd have a daughter who was a lawyer. But this is what we want for all Canadians, the ability to get educated and get ahead. You can't do that if you're so heavily taxed, if you are so heavily burdened just to get by. And we want that. We want that affordability for all Canadians. With respect to education in the trades as well, we brought in the ability to get loans and grants in the trade schools for Red Seal trades. It used to just be university kids who could get that. So we believe in...
Thank you. Microphone 3.
Can you please repeat the question really quick?
It's related to education and skills shortage.
Okay, so currently our immigration system is set up where only 25% of the people that come to the country are actually economic immigrants. So, so what happens is you end up having a shortage of skilled labor. Part of the economic or part of the immigration policy should be to, or it should completely be to spur on the economy. So what the People's Party wants to do is raise 25% to 50%, so we have more people come to the country with the type of skills that we need to fill the jobs that can help spur on our economy. The People's Party is about personal freedom, responsibility, fairness, and respect. And of course, all of our policy revolves around those 4 pillars. So everything we're doing at the People's Party is to try and make things more fair for people. So that's where we are.
Thank you. Group number 5. Childcare. Microphone 1.
Sarjeet Saran, Surrey Centre for the NDP. Childcare is a big issue. I've been in human resources for 17 years, and I can tell you quite a few absences that affect small and medium-sized businesses or employees that have to call in sick because they don't have childcare for their children. That's a major impact to business. The other major impact is people that are not having as many children or are choosing to have children later because they can't afford it. The NDP here provincially has launched some amazing programs to help subsidize and create more spots so that parents that want to go to work and want to be part of doing something different have those spots available. And it's not paying an arm and a leg. So you're not working just for daycare. Federally, the NDP is also committing to ensuring that that's available across the country. We want to put money into those programs so that parents like you can go to work, you can contribute to the economy, and your children are safe in care facilities that make sense so that they can also be able to participate in our work.
Thank you. Next person, microphone 1.
John Waring, Green Party, Surrey Centre. Yeah, childcare is an extremely important issue. There are too many women in this world that are giving up their jobs and having to stay home because they have no place to take their children. So what the Green Party would like to do is provide funding and innovation to companies to actually build childcare spaces in the workplace, which would be an opportunity. We also would like to see pretty much free universal childcare, and we're putting an extreme focus on early learning childcare, which is really critical for the development of small children. If we can start getting children developed at a young age, get their brains working, get them to learn some of the basic skills for moving forward in life, they'll be much better off.
Microphone 2.
First of all, I want to say Randeep Sarai, Liberal candidate, Surrey Centre. The Liberal Party has put in Canada Child Benefit that has lifted 300,000 children out of poverty. In Surrey Centre alone, 24,000 students, children, 14,000 families receive this benefit. It helps 9 out of 10 families. We're going to help more of them. They have already been helped with a lot more in childcare. We are the ones that have worked with the province in order to be able to have childcare spaces here in Surrey and Surrey Centre. We're going to invest to give more money so that childcare costs even get reduced by a further 10% as long as provinces cooperate with us. We are going to help families in their first year of a child to get $1,000 more a month. We are making maternity benefits tax-free, so when you have a child, it is easier and you have more money in your pockets and you don't have to wait for later. We are also allowing more for longer-term care in the evenings and for longer hours so that we can have more women and others.
Next person. Thank you.
Thank you. Communities care for and protect their children. We're a community. This country is a community. We believe that we should have free universal child care. We understand that this is not going to happen overnight. But, you know, we can use an example of one of the provinces in this country right now. Quebec has $5 a day child care. If they can do it, why can't the whole country do it? Thank you.
Next person.
That would be great. So much so for being short. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes, Annie. I'm Tina Baines, the Conservative Party's candidate for Surrey Centre. I have been a single parent and raised my young son all on my own, and I know what it means to have childcare, especially closer to where you work. It makes sense. I just want to emphasize that the Conservatives will maintain the present tax credits, put in place by the Liberals. In addition, we will give tax credits for physical fitness programs and for art and other programs, and we will do utmost to maintain. Also, personal tax cuts will be there so that you have more money in your pocket so that you can lead a quality life. So it is time that we elect the Conservatives so that we can have a fair, orderly government in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Microphone 3.
Hi, Jeff Brady, an independent for Surrey Centre. My wife, Afroza, was a single parent. She came from Bangladesh in 1992 with 2 children. She had to work, earn, pay the expenses, pay the rent, with no benefits, till I came along. And I hear my colleagues say, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, to buy your vote. We have to be careful with that because it costs us money. It comes out of your pocket. I'd like to see us concentrate on where we put these facilities to make sure they're safe in different areas of our region, Surrey Centre, and that the people that look after them are certified. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Kevin Pilak, Christian Heritage Party, Surrey Centre. And we would allow daycares, but we believe that family is the best place. As people said, childcare is very important. That should be done by the parents. I have 3 children. I married an immigrant, so I like immigrants. I've been in Surrey for 30 years. And we need to strengthen traditional family, okay? What we need to do is give them incentives, help it so that parents, at least one of the parents, can stay at home. Whether it's the mother or the father, doesn't matter. It's up to them. But we need family, the parents, to take care of their children. You start getting daycare and things, and people start wondering, why are people joining gangs when they hardly know their parents? Their parents are...
Next person.
Myself, Jaswinder Singh Dilavri, PPC candidate from Surrey Centre. Last 5 years, I have already heard all the politicians saying that we are spending this much money on this thing, we will spend this much money on this thing. I have never heard even a single politician saying that we are going to get the financial benefits from this thing. So from where you are going to spend the money? The voters are not beggars. You are giving a sweet lollipop to them by saying that we will increase this much of child care and all that. Why you are giving lollipop to the voters? Just to buy votes? Instead of giving this lollipop to them, reduce the taxes so that the parents should be able to take care of their children. The money that they are earning, it should be going into their pockets. It should not be going out of the pockets. So I think that no parent is going to spend the child tax benefit that he or she is going to get from the government.
Thank you. Group number 1, please approach the microphones. We're heading into closing remarks. You can say what you wish. Microphone 1.
This is the time for pick and choose now. Conservatives and liberals, we saw them. Last 4 years, SNC Lebanon, Ethics Commissioner ruling, conflict of interest, buying a pipeline which is flowing diluted bitumen, which can ruin our coastline. Gangs, drive-by shooting in Surrey, these are the major issues. Position is clear. NDP and Sir Jagmeet Singh is giving clear platform on affordability, universal health care, cap on cell phones, and interest-free student loan. So just vote for NDP. That's what everyone's party is, and it's layman's party.
Next person, microphone 1.
Leadership is just not achieving a particular title. It is how you serve the community. I've had the honor of being in this community for the past 17 years, and I've seen the same things which have been repeated again and again. In Surrey Newton, we are facing a major crisis of gang violence, of affordability, of the immigration issues. And this is where we need to start working. And with my credibility, I only assure you this thing, that we will involve the community, and you make us responsible and accountable. Until unless we politicians come forward and start talking in terms of how to involve the community and then delivering the things, it'll be like my friend Dilavri talked about the lollipops. So it's going to be something of that kind. So the time has come when the public starts realizing and start working and making us accountable. Lots of things have been said, lots will be said, but now the issue is, are we willing to work together and make our communities better? And this is where I assure you, I will involve you and make our communities stronger, better, and safer. Thank you.
Microphone 2.
Anita, I want to thank you for putting this great event together. Please join me giving her and the Board of Trade a round of applause. And they do always a great work, because I've been in this community, whether I was an elected representative or I wasn't. This is the community where I raised my children. This is the community where I run my small business and still employ 20 technical people. And today, listening to you all, the question that you sent in, the choice is very clear. On one side, we have a conservative Harper Shear ideology to cut in families and cut in communities. But on the other hand, it is a liberal vision which is investing in families, whether it's a child care, senior care, infrastructure, or bringing the taxes down. Here we go. On October 21st, vote for Sukh Dhaliwal and the Liberal candidate.
Microphone 3.
Holly Bercher from the People's Party of Canada, Surrey Newton. You know, every time I hear about government funding, I have to think and really want to remind everybody, it's not government funding, it's taxpayer funding. We support everything. We vote for a government to spend the money that they take from us. I really like the PPC party platform of lowering taxes, of getting rid of supply management, which, you know, benefits 17,000 families for poultry, eggs, and milk. You know, I'd like to get rid of that. But really my true passion is healthcare. The federal government under Maxime Bernier will give up the $40 billion that we're going to make in GST in 2019 and 2020. And that's that's the same amount of tax credits that we give to provinces for healthcare. Then now healthcare goes into the general revenue. In the future, Maxime Bernier will delegate it.
Thank you. Group number 2, closing remarks. And we'll start with microphone 1.
Not doing that one again.
She played smart this time.
I'm fine with first, but just not when the mic is that high.
Go ahead.
Okay. A Montreal area sitting Liberal MP was not allowed to run by Justin Trudeau because she refused to laud his feminist credentials. Now, what are his feminist credentials? He groped a young woman and gave the most mind-boggling explanation. He humiliated, demoted, and fired the first Indigenous woman justice minister. When the ethics commissioner found him guilty, he did not have the guts to apologize to her. But he did apologize to a man, a convicted terrorist, Omar Khadr, and he gave taxpayers $10 million. So Canadians have to think, how can you afford 4 more years of this hypocrite?
Microphone 2. Quiet, please.
My name's Annie O'Hanna. I'm running in Fleetwood-Port Kells for the NDP. I'm a proud intersectional feminist. But more than that, I'm the daughter of a small business family. I've seen them go through the trials and tribulations of my dad having a mental health breakdown where they lost their business because my dad simply just fell apart because of years and years of overwork. I have seen, as a public school educator, and this is where I want to be very clear, absolutely don't believe in those lollipops, because I have seen as an educator here in Surrey that when a tax cut was given, social programs are slashed to the bone. I have seen kids die on the streets from gangs because of underfunding by the Liberal government, where they promised us and then our kids were left to their own devices only to make wrong decisions. So I've seen the problems with extreme policy and half measures. We don't need half measures from the Liberals. We don't need extremes from the Conservatives. We need a solid, comprehensive policy which helps the working class people and especially small business owners that are the backbone, that are the engine of our economy. Don't let anybody tell you anything other than that. Thank you very much.
Microphone 3.
Ken Hardy, Liberal, Fleetwood-Port Kells. Hey, it isn't about this. This has no soul. It has no power. It's what you do with it. We invested in this country, and the payback we got is 1 million new jobs, the lowest unemployment rate since they started measuring it. Over 900,000 people lifted out of poverty because we used this wisely. We set the table. We have a way forward, and we have a very good economy to build on, an excellent economy to build on, in fact, and we're prepared to do more of the lifting out of poverty, the more building the businesses, the more trade. All of those things we're prepared to do because we do know how to use this, and we've used it to great effect, and will continue to invest wisely, investing in Canadians.
Group number 3, please come down for your closing remarks. Group number 3. And we'll start again, microphone 1.
Promises, promises, promises. You've heard them. Where does it end? On one side, you have the Conservative Party that I'm going to speak specifically about what they did to our veterans, sending them to fight wars. They come back broken down, disabled. They kick them to the curb, rewrite the Veterans Charter, and cut down their benefits, shut down 9 offices. Are those the people you want to represent you again? Again? Then on the other side, you have young JT. That's what I call him. Or whatever name you want to call him, okay? He has spent us into oblivion. He's put Canada, made Canada a mockery on the international stage because of his antics and how he has been operating, okay? He's afraid there's no place left to trade. What other countries are left now? China, no. India, no. You know, the US, he's been hammered. Only the NDP party will be there to help the working people.
Microphone 2.
So thank you very much for coming out tonight and being a part of this democratic process. This is fantastic to see people come out, spend their time on this very, very important event. I just want to tell you that I'm Tamara Jansen. I'm a local gal. I've been a farmer for 30 years in the area. We started our farm. We had 2 of us. It was my husband and I. By the time we sold our farm to our son, we had 200 employees. So I know how to make payroll, and I know how to live within a budget. I think those are good skills for going to Ottawa. What I also learned that I think is unique is having employed so many people over the years, I understand the concerns of regular people in this riding. I understand where our neighbors are hurting. We've had to deal with addiction issues. We've dealt with divorce, family breakdown. All of these things hurt, and financial stresses on top make it worse. We, as Conservatives, are going to make your life more affordable. So you don't just get by, you get ahead.
Microphone 3.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. And it really is an important part of our democracy to be part of these kind of discussions. I've had 4 years of representing the community of Cloverdale-Langley City and working really hard with my colleagues on stage here to defend and fight for the interests and the needs of our community of Surrey. We hear from our constituents issues of affordability, of transit, of safety, of these are some of the main issues that we've really been advocating for, and we've made great progress. It did take us a number of months when we first formed government to really undo the damage that the previous government had done. We have the government and the country on the right path now. We're seeing growth for our families, businesses doing better than ever. We need to continue on this trajectory, and our government has a very exciting platform to continue growing the families, growing the country's economy, helping our middle class, and that's why on October 21st I encourage you to vote Liberal, support our team, and send us back to Ottawa.
Next person, microphone 3.
Mike Lewin, PPC. I'm just a regular person. I've never worked for the government or anything like that, but leadership is everything. Everything rises or falls with leadership. I'm standing here because I can't stand with any of the other 4 parties. I can't do it, and it's keep my integrity. And so that's why I'm with the People's Party and a leader who's really done the historical in politics in our country. 1 year, we have 321 candidates across the country. So we are the story. Now, don't believe me, just look at the Monday night, watch the debate, and watch to see who the leader is. Watch. And don't believe the lies and all the promises. We're the only party that hasn't made promises. Right? We're the only ones. And so watch the leaders and vote for good leadership. I believe I'm with the good leader.
Thank you. Group number 4, your closing remarks, please, at the microphone. Group number 4. And we'll start with microphone 1, please.
Okay, so Stephen Crozier, South Surrey White Rock, NDP. I think I'm going to suggest a ballot question, something that you have to think of when you go to the polls, and that is, do you want to remove the corporate power that is actually running Ottawa, running our economy, or do you want to vote for a workers' party, people that use profits for people and the planet? This is essential. We have to do that. For far too long, what's happened is we've sacrificed people and the planet for the sake of profit. That wealth has to be turned around, or else we will die. That's it, okay? So it's time for us to realize that. Do you really trust? And I don't want you to think about these two sides being liberal and conservatives. Those are not the sides. The sides are liberals and conservatives, NDP. You choose. Thank you.
Next person, microphone 1.
Beverly Hobby from the Green Party in South Surrey, White Rock. I'm sure all of you are aware that we're sitting on the edge of a massive paradigm shift. We are facing the existential crisis of our lifetime in climate change, but it doesn't have to be a disaster. We can turn it around. We can use this climate change episode to produce more jobs, to change the way we do our social network, to make it more equitable, to give people free education, to give everyone a guaranteed livable income so that everything is affordable, and we can make this massive transition from a fossil fuel economy into a sustainable economy. We can do it with grace and dignity without losing the quality of life that we enjoy as Canadians here.
Microphone 2.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. Well, in Ottawa, we need fighters. We need fighters from BC. We need people who can go there and advocate and educate about who we are and what we care about. We need transportation in Surrey. We need that SkyTrain to go from Surrey over to Langley. And once it gets there, we need it to come down to South Surrey. We need a new hospital. We need to fight for that hospital. That should probably be, I hear, in Cloverdale. We need that, and we need federal government money for these things. We've already said, as a Conservative government, we will help with major equipment and healthcare because the waiting times are too long. At the door, I hear all the time about affordability, affordability. The best way to put more money in your pocket so you make the decisions, not government, is to lower your taxes and lower your taxes. We have a universal tax cut we've said we'll bring in, and we will do that by getting rid of corporate welfare. Loblaws doesn't need $12 million.
Yes. Microphone 3.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joel Poulin with the People's Party of Canada, South Surrey and White Rock. 4 years ago, I went to cast my vote, and I watched the Conservative government run a disastrous campaign. I wasn't really impressed with them. I looked to the Liberal government, and they were doing all kinds of promises, this and that, and everything else, and my core values didn't align with the things that they were talking about. So I cast my vote with the Conservatives because, that's how I usually am fiscally conservative. But, I watched as the Liberal government went $75 billion deficit over 4 years, and I just, shake your head, right? So I was looking for clarity this year. I was looking, who's got some policy and who's going to change things around here. And I looked to the Conservatives' website, and there's nothing, just a bunch of flowery words and promises and pandering. You look to the Liberals, and it's a train wreck. And so then I look over to the PPC, and I see a leader, Maxime Bernier, standing up. And he says, "Look, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it." Just very clear, just like that. So I was like, "Man, this is interesting."
Thank you. Group number 5, your closing remarks. Microphone 1.
My name is Sarjeet Saran. I'm running in Surrey Centre for the NDP. I really wanted to make a lollipop comment, but I'm going to stop myself at this point. I never got to really introduce myself. I was born and raised in Duncan on Vancouver Island. I have 5 siblings. My dad was a sawmill worker. My mom was a line cook. And I convinced them all to move to Surrey slowly. So I moved here 20 years ago. And what I'm going to tell you is all my colleagues here are working people. There are people like you that have decided to put their hand up and say, enough is enough. They're here on different backgrounds, different experiences. And what we're saying to you, we're not going to cut your taxes. We're going to cut your bills. We're going to cut your phone bill. We're going to cut your internet bill. We're going to cut your prescription bills because we're going to put that money right back in your pocket right there. Not tax cuts, direct cuts. The other thing is we do support legal systems. We're going to make sure that immigration system is properly managed. We're going to invest money in our borders and our policing, and we're going to stop the fraud that these governments have allowed to occur. Vote NDP on October 21st.
Next person, microphone 1.
Thank you, John Waring, Green Party for Surrey Centre. I'm sorry we were a little bit short-staffed tonight because we could have spoken to every one of these policies. I strongly encourage you to read the Green Party policy. People are asking, how are we going to how are we going to pay for all this? Well, it's not about taxing you to death. It's about taking the money back from the rich corporations that are actually taking billions of our dollars, and they don't need childcare. We do. They don't need jobs. We do, right? So take a look at the platform. Now, finally, I'm here to stand. I want you to vote for me. I don't want you to vote for Justin Trudeau or Jasmeet Singh. I want you to vote for me. Is the Green Party going to make government? Probably not. But what you want is somebody, a representative, that is going to stand up in government and hold their feet to the fire. All indications are it's going to be a minority government, and the Greens will be there to do that.
Thank you. Microphone 2.
I'm Randeep Sarai. I moved to Surrey about 15 years ago. When I decided to run for this party, I had several things. I looked at Surrey Centre, and nobody had delivered in the past 10 years. There was no expanded infrastructure for public transportation. There was no post-secondary expansion in the last 15, 20 years. There was nothing given to guns and gangs prevention. In fact, the police crime unit that was in charge of that, they were cut back by the Conservative government. I can proudly say every single promise I made in the last 2015 election, and I have my pamphlet with me here today, has been fulfilled. We have a new post-secondary Simon Fraser sustainable energy and environmental engineering building funded, built, and open for 2,000 students. We have a $60 million state-of-the-art largest forensic lab in Canada open in Green Timbers, funded and paid for during this time. We have the only new Veterans Affairs office open in this time. If you want results, vote for Randeep Sarai for Surrey Centre, and you'll get them.
Microphone 2.
Thank you. So Canada's headed into a new global recession, a growing danger of nuclear conventional war and a climate change crisis and devastating consequences. Globalization, austerity, and the growth of far-right populist and fascist movements are leading us towards a looming catastrophe. After almost 4 decades of austerity, declining wages and living standards, the substitution of part-time and precarious work for permanent jobs, working people have had more than enough. The election of a strong progressive bloc, including communists, can stop the drive to the right in Canada. Communists working together with the Labour and people's movements can win a people's agenda that puts people and nature before politics. Don't waste your vote on big business parties. Vote for candidates and a party that will defend your interests. Thank you.
Next person.
I'm Tina Baines, the Conservative Party's candidate for Surrey Centre. I've lived in Surrey for 30 years and worked for the government of BC for 22 years. I have the experience which has given me insights into how governments work. I want to take it to the next level to serve for the highest office in the country. But at the same token, I want to tell you that I'm a very hardworking, honest, and have integrity. I have not lost any legal licenses. I have worked for the government with integrity in public service, and I will carry the same forward. There has been no misappropriation of public money on my part when I delivered the immigration service for the government of BC through the BCPNP economic stream of immigration. I just want to let you know, if you elect me to be your rep, I will work hard with honesty, integrity. My personal life is exemplary example in front of you. I'm a very successful woman, so I request that you vote for me and let me work hard for you. Thank you.
Microphone 3.
My name's Jeff Brady, running as an independent. Why did I run as an independent? Because then I can make policies with you. These people sitting up here have to toe the party line. There's a policy that's set out for them. We can draft it together. I have policies with architectural consulting. We develop them all across the country and then implement them. So I have a long, long track record of doing that and fighting for people. Urban planning, that's very, very important. At the very, very beginning, where you put things, how you accommodate things for traffic and emergencies. And we haven't done that. I'd like to be your member in Parliament to represent you in this area with the length of experience that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Hello, Kevin Pelak, Christian Heritage Party, Surrey Centre, and I too would like your vote, but I don't have any lollipops to give you. What I have noticed, and the Christian Party is around because we have noticed that the traditional family values, the Judeo-Christian values that built this country and made it so that people from around the world love to come here. Because they know that they can live here in peace, they know that they can come with different religions, and that they can live in peace with us. And we have seen that now in Canada, and people may not notice that, but from conception to natural birth, we will protect life. People don't realize up to 9 months you can kill a child in Canada. People don't know that now we can kill elderly people, and they're trying to actually progress to killing younger people.
Next person.
Myself, Jaswinder Singh Dilavri, PPC candidate from Surrey Centre. So lollipops, lollipops, lollipops. Okay, so guys, come on, you are adults, you are not kids. So before these people cut me off, let me complete. People's Party of Canada is the only one party that is for Canada. So this party and Maxime Bernier, he thinks Canadian first, Canada first. I worked with Liberal Party for 4 years, then I became a citizen. Immediately I resigned from that party and joined People's Party of Canada. Why? Because this party is thinking of Canadians only. You know, why we are sending the money outside of Canada? This is the taxpayers' money, and it has to be spent on the Canadians. It has to be spent for making facilities in Canada. So you should think of Canadians first. You should think of your homeless people. You should think of, you know, you have given chances to these traditional parties, but this is the time for the change. Change is always better. Just vote.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Surrey matters in federal election 2019. Please vote on October 21st. Tell your friends, and a round of applause and appreciation to our candidates. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a great night.